I almost started crying. My guy said I did not meet ministry standards. I was holding back my tears. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again. If this is your first time stopping by, you are absolutely welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by once again. Well, my name is Onyeka and I'm a Nigerian YouTuber based here in London, Ontario, Canada. I basically just make lifestyle videos and I also share useful tips that could help your immigration journey to Canada. Please don't forget to check out my previous videos, as I'm sure that you'll find something worth your while and you might just decide to stick around. And speaking of sticking around, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and when you do subscribe, do not forget to turn on the bell notification button, as this will notify you whenever I post a video. Again guys, don't forget to like my video and share my video as well. So today's video is gladly sponsored by Beaufox Hair. They sent me their 28-inch 13x4 water wave lace wig in 250% density. Guys, I love this wig so much. As you can see, it's sitting pretty on my head. I just applied a bit of water that gave it these really nice curls, and the texture is amazing. It doesn't smell and the shade is minimal. If you'd like to purchase this wig for yourself, please be sure to check out my description box and click on the wig that will take you straight to their website, and they also have other gorgeous wigs that can suit your style. Also, don't forget to use my discount code, which will be linked in my description box as well. So the wig came in this beautiful pink box and it was well packaged. It also came with wig caps and a leaflet on how to maintain the hair. I had no trouble installing this hair. It was pretty easy to maneuver. So guys, again, do not forget to check my description box for a link to their website to get you this wig, and do not forget to use my discount code as well. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I failed my driving test. Guys, this is actually a big deal. It might not seem like a big deal to you, but it's actually a big deal in Canada, if you know what I mean. And I'll also be sharing tips on how you can pass your drive test in one try later on after this video. And I'm also going to be doing my makeup, showing you guys briefly how I achieved this look. I'm not going to show much, but yeah. So stick around and don't go anywhere if you're interested in knowing more about this topic. So before I start my story, let me just give you guys like a brief history of getting like my driving license history. I'm one of those people that are very scared of driving, and getting my driver's license was something that I have pushed for so long. And I would say my journey started in 2016 while I was still back in Nigeria. So as of 2016, I was still doing my internship and I had access to cars in my father's house because I was at home. So I learned how to drive. I went to like a driving school for like 2 weeks, which was trash in my opinion. And then afterwards I started driving with my mom and my brother. But after internship, I moved to Lagos for my NYSC, and my driving experience was history, so I just sort of stopped. And then I served 2017, 2018. I didn't have access to cars, so I didn't drive. Obviously, you forget everything. So when I came to Canada in 2018, I was too busy and caught up with school. I didn't even take up the idea of driving anymore. But in 2019, after I graduated, I moved to Vancouver from London after school. I decided to take up the idea of driving once again, although I didn't have access to cars, but I was willing to, use a driving school. So I took the knowledge test, which is called the G1, but in Vancouver it's called the Class 7. By the way, the licenses are called different things in different provinces. Please let me know what the driving license is called in your province if you're in Canada. I only know that of BC and Ontario. So I took the knowledge test and everything in May of 2019. Just by the way, you have to do 2 driving tests in order to get your full license. Like for Ontario, you have to do your G1, which is your knowledge test. You have to do your G2, which is like, you're allowed to drive, but you have a few restrictions. Like for example, 0 alcohol percent in your blood. And then you have your G, which is your final license. There's still like some other classes of license, like truck drivers, Uber drivers, and so on. But for like a regular driver, you just need your G1, G2, and G. So 2020 came, and then obviously the pandemic hit and everything was like halted, like nothing was working, so I couldn't take the test anymore. I know I booked it in June, but it got cancelled because we're on lockdown, so I couldn't take that test in June. So after my test was postponed in 2020. I just, let the idea go, and then I decided to move back to Ontario September of that year. That's 2020. And then December of 2020, I decided to get my knowledge test again in Ontario. Apparently I couldn't transfer like my learner's license to Ontario's learner's license. I was told to take it again, so I decided to take it again. Like, I didn't even study for this thing. Like, I just spent maybe 2 days just looking at road signs. Like, I installed an app just looking at road signs and stuff like that. I went to the drive test office and I took the first knowledge test and I failed it, and I was like, bro. But anyways, you're allowed to retake it there and there again. So I did that. I paid and just took it a second time and I passed. So that was in December of 2020. So obviously the plan was to take it in 2021. So I booked my test again for June 2021. But then again, the time came, it got pushed because of the pandemic. So I was getting frustrated at this point. And then I went to Nigeria in September of 2021. Before I even went to Nigeria, I already started taking classes, like, but it wasn't serious. I took like maybe 2 days worth of classes. And mind you, guys, it is very expensive for a drive test, like getting an instructor. Maybe like for 5 classes or 5 hours, you can pay as much as $400 or $300. So it was very expensive. So after I came back from my trip from Nigeria, I started to take my driving lesson very serious. I started again in October, and I was taking like maybe 2 hours per week or 3 hours there. But I was spending money. It was paying me. My test was scheduled for I think December. And a new opportunity came up. A new position came up, and one of the requirements was that you need to have like a driving license and access to a vehicle, which I did not have. But the position was going to start after like the date of the test, so I had time. I was like, I have to get this test too. So I was putting in the work, I was practicing, driving. I got very confident in my driving. I also wanted to take my test before the winter came, and early December, there's still a possibility that obviously snow is going to be there, but it was not going to be as thick as, full-blown winter. Even when the week for my test came, I intensified my lessons. I was spending money. The day of the test came, and then I was so nervous because, guys, getting a driver's license here is a freaking big deal. But I know back in Nigeria, wherever you're watching from, it might not be, but here is a really big deal because they can be really strict and they can fail you for like the smallest thing, even as like not doing shoulder checks. They can fail you. I practiced that morning, so like I even went there with my instructor that morning and I practiced. And then time for the test came. I went inside, did my registration, sat in the vehicle, and then I waited for my instructor. So I saw someone approaching my car, and then it was this really young guy. I was like very happy. I was like, thank God, he looks very nice. At least my test will go well. And I also felt like I was under a lot of pressure because I already accepted this new position that needed a car. But what will happen if I don't get the car? What will I see? And the funny thing is, if you fail your drive test, it's not as if you can just book another test, the next day. If you know what I mean, you understand. Like, there are no dates. Let's say you fail your test today, before you can get another date, it can be like in 4 months. So after my instructor got in the car, we did our normal checks and everything, and then I began the test. The route he wanted me to take was the one I even practiced that morning. Like, it was a different route. If you're in London, you understand, I took the back road, not the front road. So I was very happy. I was very excited. I did everything. We got to the the areas where you do your maneuvering. It told me to do reverse parking, 3-point turn, parallel parking. I did everything. I nailed it. But on my way back, drive test center was on the left and I was coming from the right, so I had to switch lanes over to the next lane in order to make a left turn to the drive test center. This was me being like 30 seconds away from the drive test center, like to finish my test and everything. So I had to like change my lane, and then I signaled, shoulder checked. But when I shoulder checked or checked my shoulder or blind spot, there was a car in my blind spot and I didn't go. But the car now slowed down for me, and then I entered. Okay, take note of that part. A few seconds later, I drove into the parking lot. See me, I was already grinning under my mask. I was smiling like, yeah, give me the good news, baby. My guy said I did not meet ministry standards. I was like, bro, what happened? He was like, And the way he said it was very sassy. He was like, do you remember that car back there? How you forced the car to slam their brakes? I was like, huh? Which car? It was like right before we came here. I was like, I didn't force anybody to slam their brakes. I signaled. There was a car in my blind spot. I didn't go. The car stopped and I entered. Obviously, like at that point, I was so confused. You know, before you even put your train of thoughts together, the guy even left the car. I was like, you're welcome to retake the test in 30 days if you can find the date and stuff like that. Before I could even process my thoughts, the guy even left the car. I was so devastated. Like, I almost started crying, but I was like, no, don't, just hold back the tears. I was holding back my tears. So I went home. I was just reflecting on what happened. And then I remember that the car that I used was a driving school car. It had a sticker on the bumper that says, student driver, please be patient. And it had this, you know, plaque thing on the car that says driving school, student driver, whatever. I mean, people tend to be afraid of learners on the road because you don't want to hit them. Obviously, when I signaled, the guy saw that this person's a learner. Let me give this person a chance. So I guess that's what happened. But they still pay me. But there was no way, you can't even contest it. And the tests are not even recorded. In my opinion, I feel like these tests should be recorded to avoid some kind of stories. And then you can even hear some of your friends tell you some kind of stories like, oh, they didn't stop at the red light, but yet they still passed. Or they didn't do something major, but yet they still passed. I understand that this thing is very subjective, but it's very annoying at the same time. So I was very devastated, and then I was like, Omo, you just have to pick up the pieces and look for a closer date before you start that new position and get the test. I was checking, there was nothing available in London until March. I was checking like neighboring cities like Tilsonburg. I was seeing like late December, but I was willing to give it a try. But at the same time, I was still checking London, and luckily something came up, and then I booked the date for London, which was like early January, like a few days before the new position started. I was practicing in the snow, you know, practicing in bad weather conditions because that's my worst case scenario. And then the day for the test came. I told myself, see, what's the worst that can happen? You fail it, you do it again, and you tell the people, the office, that I don't know. It took me back to the same route I took on my first test, and I was even happy. But this time I was trying not to get ahead of myself, like not too excited. I did all the maneuvering, 3-point turn, parallel parking, uphill and downhill parking. And on my way back, at that same spot where the first incident happened, I was about to make that, you know, lane switch again, and I checked my blind spot and I saw another car. I was like, not today. Not today, Satan, not today. So I didn't go. Luckily, the car sped up and then I entered. This time I didn't want to get ahead of myself. I was like, just hold your breath. And then the guy was like, congratulations. And then I let out this deep breath of happiness. Like, I was like, you met the ministry standards. And then he just gave me a few feedback, but I wasn't even hearing what he was saying. I was just happy that I passed the test. I was so happy. At least I can carry my shoulder now and say, I have license. Yes, I can drive. Remain nice. We don't have car. But not here, not for long. We'll soon get a car. So let me finish my makeup and I will come back with the tips on getting your driving license in Canada. So yeah, guys, that was my story. It was pretty devastating for me because failure is not something that I'm used to, or it's not something that I want to get used to. I like to go for something once and just, you know, be successful at it. So getting a driver's license is not as easy as it looks, like I said earlier, especially if you have been driving before, and especially again in a country that has poorly regulated road traffic rules like Nigeria, for example, and some other countries. Because you tend to feel like you know how to drive. Obviously you know how to drive, but when you immigrate or you move to a different country that has road traffic rules, it's kind of hard to unlearn your bad habits and learn the good habits of the road traffic rules, in the sense that, for example, you're used to driving, you do not do your shoulder checks every time you want to switch your lanes, and some countries that do not have like serious road traffic rules, all those markings on the floor. Prior to moving to Canada, I didn't even know what they meant. Like, there are some funny signs on the road that I just never, you know, thought about what they actually meant, like those solid lines or broken lines and white and yellow lines and stuff like that. It was not until I studied them that I actually knew what they meant. But if I was driving in Nigeria, I just need to put the car on the road, move, press brake, you know, do everything. That's all I need. But as a new driver, like if you're starting to drive from scratch, it's easier to learn good habits than to unlearn your bad habits. I don't know if you get what I mean. I know a couple of people who came from Nigeria and assume like, oh yeah, the road test is going to be easy. Yes, it may be easy for some, but again, it can also be very tricky because you might assume that you already know how to drive. No doubt you already know how to drive, but do you understand the rules? Which brings me to the tips I'm going to share today. First of all, do not assume that, okay, you do not need to practice. All you just need to do is you book your test and you know, go for your licensing test. And most times people in that category usually go for the full license, which is the G in Ontario, and then they end up failing it. You're transferring your license from one country to another and you're going for like your full license, and if you fail the G, they will step you down to the second class, which is your G2. And that has happened a lot of times because some people feel a little too confident that they know how to drive. So the tip I'm going to share here today is that do not assume you know it all. Please take your time, practice a few more times, like actually get a driving instructor or someone who has their license and is qualified to take you on the road. So spend a few days or weeks, whatever. Do not be in a hurry. Learn the road rules, learn the traffic signs, just spend some time driving. Do not assume you know it all, because I've seen one too many people get burned from this situation. So please do not be one of them. And even after you get your license, it doesn't mean you automatically know all the rules. Like even me, I feel like I'm still learning every day. In cities like Toronto, the driving there is a little crazy. Like the roads, like the highway, the connecting routes, the exits, the everything is a little confusing and very overwhelming. I feel personally intimidated by it, and I feel like I am not going to, you know, be going on Toronto highway anytime soon until I am very strong in, you know, my driving in smaller cities. But if you feel you are confident, give it a go. Also guys, please let me know your driving license and test history, how it went, if you failed or you got it in one go. Please let me know in the comment section and let us discuss. Okay, again guys, do not forget to check my description box to purchase this hair from Beaufox Hair. The link is in my description box, and use my discount code as well. It's a gorgeous hair, as you can see. And yeah guys, that's the end of this video. I'm going to end it here. I hope you did enjoy my little story time. It may not seem like a big deal to you, but to me it was a big deal. So guys, thank you for sticking with me this long, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Please do not forget to like my video, share my video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on my Instagram, and yeah, that's it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care and bye.